Hello everyone, welcome back to FPL Jedi Show. This is Gameweek 20 Deadline stream. My name is Hafiz and I would like to welcome Azmin to the stream. How are you, brother?
I'm fine, thank you. Rearing to go. Hope you're quite in flying a bit because very happy with my current rank. The lama haven't been in this sort of situation, so just need to push on and maintain.
All right. I think it's not too late to say Happy New Year, 2025 to everyone. This is a new year. We already ended Game Week 19 in 2024. So we'll take a look how our team performing for the last time in 2024. But we are rearing for definitely year 2025. We'll kick off with Game Week 20 this week, Saturday, Sunday, and there will be one match on Monday night. So we are definitely excited. I think we'll try to do some recap of the season so far next week, where there will be a FA Cup week. So we kind of like a 1 week break before we come back into the FPL mode. I think there will be some midweek matches coming up also. So it has been definitely a hectic period for us, festive period for FPL managers, back-to-back turnaround, 17, 18, 19, and now we finish up with Game Week 20, man. So just recap me in terms of festive periods, how's things so far?
I think in terms of December, a lot of with a lot of matches and a lot of things going on in terms of team dynamics, managers getting sacked, rotations happening as well. If you recall things like where Jackson was from Chelsea was rotated, and Nkunku came in only for Chelsea to fall to a loss. And the most I guess the most frustrating thing, for where the neutrals are concerned, is that the Premier League contenders kept falling apart. Like Chelsea, who were doing so well, and then suddenly they started recording some bad results, and also Arsenal falling back a bit. And surprisingly, right now, as we ended the new year, as we ended 2024, the second place team in the Premier League was Nottingham Forest. That script's amazing. It brings back memories of Leicester from a few years back, 2016 it was. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, and how the other teams, teams like Manchester City, who managed to get a win against Leicester, so see whether or not they can build, in terms of recovering, as well as other teams like Villa. Yeah, so it's not, obviously Liverpool are in the driver's seat at the moment, but it only takes some bad run of form, or things not going your way, and then suddenly the other teams will be contending again. So let's hope it'll be a very interesting match come the second half of the season. And of course, let's remember, while you are busy building your transfers, it is the transfer window has opened yesterday, so it's going to be, you should take these into account, because that some teams will be looking to improve their teams, and also remove some teams, so remove some players that they don't want. So it could either make their teams perform better or maybe worse. So let's see how we go.
All right. Thank you for reminding us, man. For all FPL managers, the transfer window is open. And maybe also I add in the wildcard for the second half of the season also is now available to all managers. If you think your team need a refresh, I think it could be the moment, but we try to hold our wildcard as long as possible, right? So I think that's an interesting one in terms of Game Week 20. This has been a bad week.
Sorry, go on.
So, like you mentioned, it has been a bad month for Chelsea, especially in December. After that draw against Everton, and they lost back-to-back. High-flying Liverpool up top right now. But you did mention about Forest. I just take a quick look, Forest is actually at third place after Arsenal come to second place with
After the last match.
but their form is very excellent. 5 wins in a row. I didn't realize that, but it's a back-to-back clean sheet. So Forest defense is definitely a fortress, and I think this what people are looking at for Forest assets especially.
Yeah. So at the end of 2024, Forest ended second, but because Arsenal's match was on the 2nd January, and they overtook and returned back to second place. The other thing I want to point out, of course, I think a few of the community out there were looking around and asking about a bit more info and to recap a bit on the assistant manager chip. So we're going to try to see if we can have a video where we look at that and go into some detail and look at some strategies that we can do. So we'll see how we go, hopefully after this game week is over. All right.
Right, quick look on game week 19. I've scored 90 points, -4. I took a -4, and yourself got 95 points. Excellent week for you. You did tweet that you are hopeful to get 100 points mark, but it didn't happen because Arsenal didn't keep a clean sheet. So just talk to your team a bit, man.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that, just before, trying to aim, then I just jinx myself. Okay, so it was another good week for me, although, benching, when I look at my bench, you got your Nuri and Pedro, but of course, I to be fair, I really never expected them to get as good score sheets, and even Pedro. So I can't really say that I got unlucky there. It was really a decision that I made. So then because my first person on the bench is Ahmad. So anyway, Sells another clean sheet against Everton, which is not unexpected, I guess. Then you got Guardiola, Alexander Arnold, and Robinson all returning. Robinson getting and another assist, and I think he's the top defender right now with the most assists. Of course, my transfer in, which was Diaz, who Diaz did. I really expected him to start, and he did well. But only one goal. Salah, of course, came through for most of us, and the only thing with this is that it really is. Manchester United we were unlucky not to come up with even bigger scores because there were so many chances that Liverpool created. Sorry, did I say Manchester United? Sorry, I did. that was looking towards this weekend. But Liverpool had so many chances to score against West Ham, and 5-0 could have been even worse. Unfortunately, for those who went for the slightly differential captain of Palmer blanked, so many teams lost ground for looking at that captaincy and moving to Palmer, and it's something to look at with regards to how worth Chelsea is at the moment, and until they regain some stability. Rodgers, another great return from him. Unfortunately, he did get his 5th yellow card. He's one of those who fell off into that, and it's just so annoying at this point of the season. Isaac continues his great run of form, so everyone's gonna be pretty happy if you haven't gotten on that bandwagon. Might not be too late to jump on it. I don't know. So yeah, and of course, Cunha, who Wolves started well, but unfortunately he had a bit of an injury, so he was forced off at halftime. So yeah, it was a pretty good week, and I like how my team is set up at the moment, and it's really ready to attack, and but now I am conscious of the fact that I want to try to look at saving some transfers, especially in view of this transfer window, as well as wanting to see whether there's any new trends that happen. So yeah, I need to be careful there.
All right. For my team, I took a -4 where I finally get rid of Flecken, who potentially injured in game week 18, but he managed to be fit and played against Arsenal, although Brentford did lose that game 3-1. And then I finally get on Isaac into my team and take out João Pedro, because I have enough money to bring Isaac, and I do feel Newcastle are on top form, and they did win against Manchester United away, although it could be a higher score line. Isaac in the mix, a goal and 1 bonus point. It could be a haul, but it's definitely imminent. Transfer that I need to make. Alhamdulillah, now he's in my team and foreseeable future. But Jackson continued to disappoint, like I mentioned. Maresca did rotate his team and he came on as a sub. And then I think another one, Martinelli. I think that's a punt move that I made in game week 18, which Arsenal only won 1 against Ipswich. No return in that game, but this week he got that 9 points. So I can say he equals that Luis Diaz point, but at a lower price. So we say that our move at least return in 2 weeks. But moving forward, I think maybe he can still maintain my team until there'll be some other option in midfield in 21 or moving forward. But for now, I think my team a bit identical with Azmin. I'm grateful that I finally made my goalkeeper move to Sales, not to Pickford or Henderson, which what the people are looking at in game week 19 transfer move. And Forest has been formidable at the back, and Sales kept a clean sheet, 6 point, and glad I made that. So I joined your club.
The nice thing, you have Fabianski, who this week won't be around because of the concussion protocol, but he will be back after, and he'll be ready for you as a second keeper option should you need to avail yourself of that. So congrats. I think it was good that both of us made transfers that paid off immediately. I know when we do a transfer, we want to say it's for the long run, and then we try to comfort ourselves when they don't score, and it's for the long run, so it's okay, but then it's always good. We love it when our transfer pays off immediately. So not going to be too upset there. I guess for you the concerns are now is with your Chelsea squad, because you have people up,
I have
whether
people upset.
Consider whether or not it's something you need to change. We have to see how Chelsea goes. But this weekend maybe we can keep Chelsea for now, and let's see what happens after.
Right, a bit spoiler, man. As you can see at the our tagline for this week, Cunha is suspended. Finally, the worst forward has been suspended by the Football Association, FA, England, and but they only been suspended for 1 match in Premier League and 1 match in FA Cup game. So it's not that severe. We are thought like maybe 4 or 5 matches. So it is something that we need to address this week, or we're going to keep Cunha in our team for future transfer. And I think that's where our transfer plan talk will be. Okay, man?
Yep. We'll talk about that.
All right. Quickly on the fixture for game week 20 before we jump into the team news. The early kickoff this week will be Spurs versus Newcastle. Another big match for both team. Newcastle on the best form, but Spurs did concede last a few minutes 2-2 against Wolves. I think that's the result was. So Postecoglou side has not been maintaining their form, so maybe this is the match that they are looking forward to. 8:30 p.m. Malaysian time. Then after that, 11 p.m. we have 5 matches. Villa versus Leicester, Moneyball game for Villa assets. Bournemouth versus Everton. Everton lost 2-0 against Forest at home last week. Bournemouth drew against Fulham. So we shall see how that match would pan out. Crystal Palace, Chelsea, London derby. Chelsea not in a great form. Can they bounce back against Palace, who has been decent? They got that 2-1 win against Southampton last week. Man City versus West Ham. Finally, Man City won last week game, so they are back on track, I suppose. And then West Ham lost 5-0 against Liverpool. So I'm not sure whether they can bounce back against City away. Southampton versus Brentford, interesting. Brentford asset. Mbomo scored again. So people who still hang on to Mbomo, they definitely feels that this could be the game that they want to salvage a lot of points from the midfielder. Then midnight, Brighton versus Arsenal, interesting match. Can Arsenal away win against Brighton? I still remember the reverse fixture. They lost to Brighton because I think Declan Rice was red carded and then they lost 2-1 if I'm right. Then Fulham versus Ipswich, another money ball game on paper. Fulham should win this game, but Ipswich has been decent. Recently, they won against Chelsea at home. The big one, man, Liverpool versus Manchester United. All point to Liverpool winning big this week. With Manchester United form has not been good under Amorim. Amorim under pressure right now, supposedly. And then Monday night, Wolves versus Forest. Can Forest maintain their 6 win in a row? So that's the fixture for Gameweek 20, man. What's your take?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I just jumped onto your comment about Amorim, because, the problem is when you're in a big club, probably one of the biggest club in the world, Manchester United, and you expecting a manager bounce to continue, and which hasn't really happened. So because there's a lot of expectation in terms of, they need to do well, very quickly and improve very quickly. So that hasn't happened, unfortunately. But they need to put everything into context. It will take a while, and they will have this transfer window. Don't know the owners. We don't know the owner backs. In the transfer window. I don't know. They do need to let go of some players as well. So let's see how it go. But to Manchester United fans, I think you just need to be patient a bit more, and then run through this January transfer window and then see. And of course, if you remember, in the last game, Ugarte was suspended. Manchester, Bruno Fernandes was suspended. So it did make a hole in that midfield. So both of those players are now back, which we'll look at more in the injury news later. So hopefully, we expect Manchester United to put up a bigger fight. But of course, we'll cover it. But we still expect Liverpool to win that one.
All right, man. I think we can jump to the team news. We start with Spurs versus Newcastle. Like I mentioned just now, Newcastle really on form right now, but there is a way to Spurs. It will be attacking game for both teams. So what's the latest news?
Right. So Spurs, we now know that Udogie is out as well. So there's quite a long list there. You got Van der Ven injured, Christian Romero, Vicario, of course, we know is injured, Ben Davies, Richarlison, and some of the small players that Odobert and Mickey Moore, So it's really looking challenging for Spurs. Bentancur is also suspended, so that's one aspect of it. The other problem is that there's, after the press conference, Ange Postecoglou said there's a bug going around in the Spurs camp as well, and he did mention that James Maddison is someone who is affected. Will rule him out? We don't know. But between that press conference and up until this morning, there's a lot of social media speculation, and apparently quite a few names have been listed, which is Foster, Son Heung-min, Bissouma, Dragusin, all suspected to also be hit by the bug, but we don't know whether this is verified or not. We may be able to get some news because this is the first match, so the deadline is will be first. Yeah, but it is not looking great for Spurs at the moment. So Newcastle wise, no new issues. We do know that Shah has been suspended this week, so he's one of those who hit his 5 yellow triangle. But at the same time, Botman has come back and is available for selection, which is good. He could slot in just nicely, although you could go in straight away into that lineup. So which is good for Newcastle, and Newcastle are quite high flying at the moment in that sense. They've done really, really well, and I credit that to their midfield of Tonali and Gomez finding, and together with Joe Linton. And Joe Linton has scored 2 double digits in the past 2 matches. So you
Okay.
could argue that he was the better replacement for Saka 3 weeks ago, because although he didn't play during that week after that, which is probably why people didn't choose him. But after that, he followed up with 2 double digit, making him the biggest goal scorer for the past 3 weeks in terms of midfield, and he's still only 6+ as well. So to be fair, I do expect Newcastle to win this one because they're just looking too strong, and with Spurs problems everywhere. It's Newcastle to lose. So Newcastle will definitely should win this one.
All right. No interest so much on the Spurs asset, but the bandwagon for Isaac continue to get new owners. We shall look at the top transfer later. So next match, next match will be Aston Villa versus Leicester. As you all know, Leicester lost to Man City at home. That's it. But with the fight, but this looks like more likely Villa win. So what's the latest news, Min?
Okay, so we do know Morgan Rogers and John Duran. Duran continues his suspension. Matty Cash is back from his ban. The big news is, of course, Paul Torres being out, so most likely Tyrone Mings is going to come in for that. So there is a bit of disruption there. We do know that although Morgan Rogers is suspended, but Jacob Ramsey is there, so he should slot in nicely and fill that role that Rogers has been doing. For Leicester, so again, the second keeper Stolacic will continue. Ayu is back from suspension, so he's another option, and of course Wood Faes, who could return, but he's not an option. So we with Watson, I keep saying Watson, with Watkins scoring on his return from his ban, you expect he'll continue to do well, to prove that he belongs as the first choice player and not John Duran, and also you got to blame Duran for that lah. That's his problem lah. Got no discipline, that kind of thing. I see this as a Villa win. Because of Villa's disruption in that backline, Leicester will probably score, but probably Jamie Vardy as usual. But I do expect Aston Villa to still win. Nice one, maybe 3-1.
Yep. I think the one most frustrating is Morgan Rogers receiving his 5th yellow card last week, which it's not good for us, right? I mean, we could easily play Rogers and got another big haul against Leicester, right? But it's not meant to be. But for Oli Watkins owner, they got that 12 point last week, and this could be another big haul for the England forward. So I think that's conclude for Villa.
Definitely, and I think we're all upset that we're not going to be able to capitalize on this match, and unless you want to bring in Watkins, who I feel is a bit too far for most of us. We don't think we're able to have the space for that. So,
8.9 million. Maybe you have spare money from that Cunha. Yes, I don't know. You need to add another 2 million. Right? Unless you do not have Isaac, maybe, but I'm not sure about that, because the priority would definitely be Isaac, because he's the one.
I think some who managed to move the week before, whether it's to Salpinia or because Duran was suspended, because to capitalize, they're in a good form, but I don't think that most people will look at moving to Watkins now.
Yeah, I just want to point out Watkins on penalty right now, so maybe that could at least when you compare with Isaac, both are the penalty taker for their clubs. All right, next game in Bournemouth versus Everton. Bournemouth 2-2 draw again. I think Bournemouth are high flying in the table. They are definitely in 7th place right now, just behind Man City. But Everton also needs some points because Ipswich and Wolf has been picking up points. So what's the latest news?
Okay, so Bournemouth, just the main thing is that Kluivert returns for suspension, which is great, and he'll probably be back to taking penalties. So everyone else is fine. So the likes of Semenyo and Evan Nilsson, who also scored last week, so they'll be back. So they should be too much against Everton. Everton have a recent bad record against Bournemouth. their key creative player, Dwight McNeil, is still out, so he's not going to be able to make it. But everyone else is there. But Everton's attack just so many problems. Although you would, maybe they'll get a random goal, but you still expect this is Bournemouth's game to lose. So they should win, and not get, as long as they don't get too overconfident at the misfortunes of their opponent.
Yep, agree. So in terms of Everton, you're definitely not looking at any their attacker, because their attacker has been, they have been blank for the past 6, except score against Man City, which is from Ndeye fine strike. Other than that, I think if you stay if you still have McNeil or the likes of McNeil or DC and so on, you might need to move them.
To be fair, arguably their defense is still strong. It's just the back.
I think that's the plus point.
Yeah, it's just the front has no bite whatsoever. So that's the biggest problem that they have.
Means that if you do not concede goal, but if you don't score goals, how you gonna win games, right? So I think that's
exactly. So you manage to
goals, but you're conceding goals, but it's still fine because you're scoring goals, right?
So you managed to draw 0-0 against Chelsea. You stop them from scoring goals, but not being able to turn that into a win, it speaks very poorly, and it's a big problem for Everton.
All right, let's go to next game. Palace versus Chelsea. We touched a bit on Chelsea just now, but Crystal Palace, they got their win last week at home 2-1 Southampton, and Chelsea lost to Ipswich. So what's the latest news?
So Hughes will miss Gameweek 20, and of course, another thing is Chalobah, who's one of those Chelsea people. He's not going to be eligible to play, but it should be fine. I think for them, you got Richards, who should come in together with Lacroix and Maguire in their wing back formation. So three at the back formation. So I like Crystal Palace at the moment. They're looking really stable now. Of course, the likes of Sa and Mateta haven't really returned. I think people were looking to capitalize on them. But this week could be a good point, especially at home. Plus, they face a very unstable Chelsea at the moment. So going on to Chelsea. So Reece James ready for minutes. So what does that mean? He'll be on the bench lah. He won't start. He's not. Yeah, he won't start, but he should be ready to come on the bench and make an impact if required. And I think that's the best we can hope for. I don't think we want him to come in immediately and get himself injured again. So Lavia is back in training, but very close, which means that he's not going to be ready. So the thing with Chelsea is that it's about that midfield and trying to figure out what the best balance is. So Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez will probably continue to be that pivot, but it's not a great pivot in that sense, and it does leave them susceptible to the back because with Fofana still out, you got Tosin, and Tosin will be back, so he's nowhere as good as Fofana. We saw some rotation last week. You had Sanchez and Jackson being rotated out just to handle the December challenges. But both, after they lost, they should both go straight back into the lineup. And the good thing for those who still have Jackson is that he's now free of that yellow card thing hanging on his back, and he should be able to start this one, no issues and nothing to worry about. Which means that he'll probably score a goal and get carded. So, but I think those with Jackson will be happy with that.
All right, Palace versus Chelsea. I think for Palace assets, the likes of Sa, Munoz, I think people looking at Mateta and then Henderson. Maybe they did not return last week, but we just don't know this week because Chelsea has been leaky anyway. But the asset that performed last week was Eze. So maybe that is a player that people are looking at if let's say he perform again with Chelsea. So I can imagine in 21, Eze could be on the radar for FPL managers.
Yep, definitely. Just one thing with Crystal Palace, they have such a great run of fixtures coming up, so you can see why people are looking more and more into Crystal Palace.
Yeah, definitely. And another audition for Crystal Palace assets, and then people can jump on. So Man City versus West Ham, I think Man City has turned their fortune a bit. West Ham had been woeful 5-0. A bad day in the office. That's what Lopetegui mentioned in their press or post conference. So what's the latest news for both teams?
Okay, so for City, no real changes really. So it's just that the one main possible change is Ederson train pain-free. Does that mean he'll get a chance to start this one? I don't know. But you know, maybe not good idea to transfer him in at this point.
Yep.
But let's see how City is. But you expect them to continue their revival against West Ham. So for West Ham, Fabianski is out, so Areola should still continue between the sticks. More importantly, Susek, Gordon Rodriguez, I don't rate so much, but at least Susek is returned, and he helps to bring a bit more stability and bite in that midfield. The biggest problem with West Ham is, of course, there's no Jared Bowen. He's not going to be around, and that's going to be a significant bite into attack. It does mean that all the attack will be focused with Kudus. So Kudus, of course, full group. The summer transfer is we should spearhead, but Kudus, who will play in his preferred position, which is on the right-sided attack, which is where Bowen has to be occupying. So I actually expect Bowen Kudus to actually score in this one. They'll probably lose. But it does give, but it will be a start that gives Kudus a chance to prove what he's capable of in his preferred position. But still City to win this one comfortably.
Right.
Even.
Okay, we can see that Bowen unavailable for this game. Most probably he'll be out for a while, I suppose. So the owner for Bowen, I think like yourself already moved him on. So I think that's the best time, and the fixture coming stiff after this. But for City, I'm not sure if you still have Haaland, maybe you still continue because Haaland did score last week, right? So at least maybe there's some glimpse in terms of the Norwegian striker to be back.
Yeah. So the only worry is those with Foden because McAtee came in and you remember last season he played for Sheffield and he did quite well. He was quite impressive, compared to Foden, was withdrawn quite early, was substituted early last week. So it'll be interesting to see what Pep does there.
Yeah. Let's go to the next game, which is Southampton versus Brentford. Evan Juric still looking his first win for his club, Southampton, but it's against Brentford, who we can say a bit terrible away from home, but it's against Southampton, right? So what's the latest news?
Yeah, so for Southampton, the big, playing down into no real big deal, but the big deal for me is Matheus Fernandes being suspended for this week because he's in that midfield. So Aribo and Ugochukwu should be the new pivot for that, but will they be effective? I doubt it because Brentford, of course, as we know, they attack and they still managed to come back to goal scoring ways after blanking the week previously. So everyone that was available for Arsenal is available, so that means that it's bad news for Southampton because I expect the likes of Wissa and Wissa, Jensen, and Mbeumo to be too strong for Southampton. But it will not be a whitewash. I think that Southampton have been showing improvement. So okay. I think we can see a much better fight from Southampton at home, especially.
All right. So if you still have Brentford assets, hold them against Southampton definitely. This is the match that you've been waiting for to get those points. And if you still have Flecken from last week, didn't make any transfer, he did play against Arsenal, and then he should be available to play against Southampton. Keeping clean sheet is another question. All right, so next game in Brighton versus Arsenal. Interestingly, for Arsenal, one of the Arsenal assets is suspended, and Brighton also not looking great up front. Welbeck and Ferguson might miss also again this week. So what's the latest news?
So we've got Danny Welbeck and Evan Ferguson still missing out. So there goes, Pedro's preferred having a partner. He's not going to be available. So Webster should return. And hopeful Estepinian will recover for illness. So we do know that they've already made a signing which is Fabio Gomez, who's a centre forward. I think to try to alleviate the issues that they're having in centre back. Of course, you know that Welbeck is out of still injured, and Evan Ferguson was out of form anyway before the injury. There are rumors that Evan Ferguson is being looked at by quite a few clubs as well. So he may leave. There is a possibility he might leave. So that's why Fabio Gomez came in. But of course, this weekend apparently it's going to be too soon for him to immediately come in. I'd be surprised if he's even on the bench. So for Arsenal, Kai Havertz, as we know, was missing. They didn't miss him earlier this week because Arsenal were very comfortable in the victory. Tomiyasu and Sterling have begun some partial training, but they're not going to make it. Of course, the biggest thing is that Timber is now suspended for Arsenal. So does that means that so there is again a bit of disruption, but I don't think the disruption is too big a deal. But we will probably expect to see Partey go into that right side, and with Calafiori on the other side. Then Jesus, of course, will continue and to be up front. So for this one is quite an interesting one. The likes of Pedro, but I think Arsenal will probably concede, maybe not necessarily on Pedro as much as I'd like it to be. But Arsenal should still win this one. Brighton is still looking a bit not stable, I guess. Is that the best word to use? Yeah, they're still not quite there in terms of competing. So Arsenal are looking in fine touch. As you mentioned earlier, they returned to the second place on their table. So you would expect them to win and win comfortably.
If you're someone like João Pedro owner, and you're looking at Timber as suspension and Partey playing on the right side, I'm not sure how actually will you be interested to play João Pedro in this game?
If I had the choice, I probably wouldn't. I'm not so keen because again, Pedro doesn't have a preferred partner, but he did do well. He did return 2 assists last week, so hopefully that will boost his confidence. I'm not so confident. I will be playing Pedro, but I'm not 100% confident that he will do much. But they are at home, so that is he could do.
All right, great stuff. Next game, Fulham versus Ipswich. All roads goes to Fulham, a win, but it's again high moral Ipswich after that 2-0 win against Chelsea. So what's the latest news?
Well, yeah, so we got Fulham also being happy. Both teams are happy at the moment, quite happy. Although they, if you remember, they did well against Chelsea. So they did, and wasn't so great against Bournemouth. They ended up with a 2-2 draw, but it still looks good for Fulham. So Harrison Reed returned to training. Will he go back into the starting lineup? I doubt it. I think we can see Jimenez should be continued to start, and with Wilson, Jimenez, and Iwobi being the ones up front. With Smith Rowe probably going back to the starting lineup, as you know, he was benched. He came back last week and was benched, so he may probably return to the starting lineup as well. For Ipswich, so another very, very happy as well. So. But I guess the change is that Walton will start over Muric in goal once again. I don't know if people actually have their keeper, but it's interesting. Yeah, they've decided to switch the keepers, and it has done well. Having said that, I know Ipswich, Fulham. I just feel that Fulham are still the better side, and I can see them still doing well for this one. And winning against Ipswich.
Yep. So you have Fulham as such, you definitely play, and this could be a big game for Raul Jimenez because he has returned so far for the past 2 home games. So that could be an interesting one to pick if you are thinking about Cunha replacement. We touch on that later. So next game will be Liverpool versus Manchester United, mate. So we know there's a potential injury for Joe Gomez. So what's the latest news for both teams?
Okay, so this is of course the Sunday match that we're gonna talk a bit more about. Gomez is not in good place, so that does mean that Kwanzaa will be in the centre back position with Virgil van Dijk for this one, which means that Konate is rejoining training, so he's not going to be ready. So we're going to expect him to be ready by the time the break is over. But of course, Liverpool are involved in the EFL semi-final as well as another FA Cup. But I'm not worried about the FA Cup, but the EFL final where we'll see a bit more after this game week. Yeah. So of course, lots of news on Trent going on, especially in social media. A lot of speculation that he's going to leave, but I think he will stay until the end of the season and leave on the free. I don't see any issue with that. That's normal because, and I think he will want to finish off the season and considering that the season is also going very well as well.
Yep,
Whether or not either he signs with us or he will not sign and just wait until the end of the season and leave on a free. I think he will want to finish off on a great note, especially considering Liverpool are doing so well.
So Manchester, you talk about trend speculation, we should not worry, right? Trend leaving during this January transfer window, right, man?
No, I'm not worried. Honestly, no matter how good, I think Trent will want to dictate his own terms and will. Look, he could leave now because a lot of fans wondering what will hate him. So supposedly will hate him for wanting to leave on the free. But I think he wants to do what's best for Liverpool and play until the end of the season and contribute and at least leave on a good note. Because if he leaves now in January, it's not going to be a big fee anyway. I think the difference between selling him now and leaving on the free on the end of the season, he's already on the last 6 months, so he's not gonna. The fee isn't going to be that great. So, and I think his wages is going to be more of a thing. So I think he will not leave. And whether or not he either leaves, if he leaves to which is most likely Real Madrid, that's the biggest destination. But I think he will stay at least until the end of the season. That's my projection. So for Manchester United, Rashford missing due to illness. Is that case? I don't know. I don't want to. I think I did allude to this last time, but will David go? He won't play. So and I mentioned earlier, Ugarte and Bruno Fernandes they'll do return, so they'll put a bit more fight there in the midfield. No other differences except for what we mentioned before, lah. Yeah.
All right. So with Joe Gomez. Will be out for a while. I guess Konsa could be an option in defense, right? Because we are expecting him to partner with VVD in centre back.
No, I don't see that as an option because Konate is rejoining training, and given that the space between game week 20 and game week 21, I expect to see Konate back into the starting lineup by the time the FA Cup matches is over. Konsa will probably still play in the FA Cup tie. I think it was against Stockport, and Konate should be ready by that time, so I'm not worried about that one.
All right, last game, mate, which is on the Monday night, Wolves versus Forest. We already know the big news for Wolves team, which is Mattia Cunha is suspended. So what's the latest news for both teams?
So the big one is this, Cunha suspended. So he's suspended for one Premier League match and the FA Cup match. So he'll be back after. We've seen the likes of Ait Nouri, a previous FPL favorite. Now he's back and doing well, so he should return. Lemina has a small injury, so he's not. But looks like he's not likely to play. But Wolves are looking decent. To me, Wolves are looking good at the moment. I know they weren't able to win last week, but a 2-2 draw is still a good one. Totti Gomez has a hamstring, so he's already up. So actually, even though they have quite a few of injuries there, but some of them were already there for quite a while. So with Cunha suspended, that means that Strand Larsen, who was benched and came on to score a goal, he should start together with Hwang Hee-chan, who, as we know, came back a few game weeks back. Yeah, so that's Wolves. So there's also Johnston has been the subject of a possible link to Spurs, to replace Vicario, who's injured. We don't know if that's going to happen, but it is interesting, the turn of fortunes. Sao came in as previously was the first choice keeper, and then Johnston was brought in during the transfer window, and now looks like Johnston is leaving because under the new manager, Sa seems to have regained his starting lineup. Yeah. So for us, no big differences. Murillo should be okay. So we know that Murillo was the one who pulled out last minute, but it didn't matter to Forest. So in the last match, they still won. So it's a top versus bottom match here. You got the third place team, Forest versus the 17th place team at the moment. So, but it is at home and
What's your prediction, mean, for this?
it's a controversial one. I'm going to go for a draw actually because I do think Wolves have looking really good now. I know that Forest are very comfortable, but I think that at home Wolves are going to do well, and I think under the new manager they have a chance of getting something off of this match.
All right, man. Maybe you can touch a bit in terms of, as you mentioned, there's potentially distraction in terms of weather for some games, especially on Sunday and Monday, man.
Yep. So there's an amber alert that has been issued, and the biggest match that it seems to have the biggest impact is Liverpool versus Manchester United. So it's really out of control because they said they'll only make a decision depending on on Sunday morning when the sun, which is the morning that the match is to be held, which is of course what it should be, because you don't want to disrupt the matches unless you're sure that they can't go ahead. The other so mainly the Sunday and Monday matches are the ones at risk. Saturday should be fine because the front has not arrived at that time. The other issue is of course the Wolves Forest game, which is this one. So a lot of speculation there, but at the end of the day, it's all just speculation at this point. It's going to be a bit hard to figure out. I think we're just going to have to hope we get lucky and come off well. I think so those are the Fulham match, which is at London. They're in the center, so they're in central London, so they seem to be the least at risk. There's the speculation on that, but I think it's very minimal, that one. I don't think there's a big issue there. Yeah. So the biggest one is Liverpool versus Manchester United. Those of us probably have at least two Liverpool assets and maybe one Manchester United asset. Maybe. Yeah. I have 4 from 3 from Liverpool and 1 from Manchester United. But I think most of you will probably only have 2. Yeah. So I think you have enough transfers. Of course, the problem is a lot of us have got, if you have the likes of Shah, the likes of Rogers, Cunha, then you want to, if you're short of a squad, that you may want to look at gearing your transfers towards those playing on the Saturday. Yeah, to minimize that risk of your squad being affected by weather.
All right. Good stuff. We just need to be on our toes in terms of it, but nothing much we can control in terms of weather. But maybe one advice that we can share, that if let's say you're captaining Salah, you do want to vice captain someone who play on Saturday. I think that maybe thing that. All right. Let's go to top transfer Gameweek 20, main in and out. So far as you can see, there's a lot of attention to Chris Wood, and the most transfer out you can see there Cunha. So I think maybe that's the like for like replacement when talking about Cunha suspended this week, and Wood has gathered around 799. They already reaching 800,000 now as we speak, and Chris Wood price has increased. Take another increase. 0.1, he is now priced at 6.8 million. So that's the price that you need to make if you want Wood in your team right now. And then after that, attention for 3 Newcastle assets. I set Hall and Gordon in the top 5, and also I would like to include Aina, another Forest asset. Their defense has been performing, and Aina is the one that people are looking at. 373,000 managers has opted him in. In terms of transfer out, Cunha, no surprise. Jackson, maybe after that benching and his form not so well. So Jackson is the second top transfer out. 470,000 managers did that. Rogers suspension forced him out at the 3rd place. Bowen injury 4th, and then Madison and Spurs uncertainty in terms of place. He also in the top 5 transfer out this week. So what your takeaway for this?
So yeah, it's obviously it's Cunha to Wood, yeah, and I've considered it myself and still considering it, but I don't really like Wood at the moment. I know he's the go-to for Forest, but his record for the last few matches has not been great. I think I mentioned previously how other players for Forest have been stepping up in terms of contributing to the goals for Forest. Yeah, so I'm not that keen myself. But that Newcastle bulk transfers, yeah, who's surprised, right? Newcastle are looking really, really well, and I'm definitely looking to see who I can bring in further because I only have Isaac at the moment. Yeah, so other than that, I don't see anyone really. Yeah, Newcastle are the players to go to. The only thing with Newcastle is that it is the early match, so a bit of caveat there. In terms of the transfers out, yeah, Bowen definitely because he's injured. Madison's not available. Jackson, I think people have gotten frustrated a bit.
Yep.
But I don't know. It depends on whether you see a recovery for Chelsea right now. But at the moment, I don't see it yet myself. Yeah, but yeah, maybe after the FA Cup matches, we might see some improvement as Maresca works on it. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right. I mean, since we are on the topic of replacement for Cunha, I just we jump to that topic a bit. So
Yeah.
our discussion, Cunha, as we know, playing Forest suspended for this week. But after that, the next 6 game week will be tough for Wolves. As you can see there, they're playing Newcastle, Chelsea, Arsenal, the next 3, then Villa and Liverpool. And then after that, both merge. So there is more reason, and could be timely reason for Cunha to move on to someone else. And as you can see there, suspended for 2 games. 1 game is Premier League, so only 1 game that is actually going to affect in terms of FPL. And those are the 4 options on the right side. If you want to, people are considering. I think the top one will definitely be Azmin. If you have the money, definitely, and you do not have Isaac, I think he is the one that people should go to. And the fixture are coming better. Spurs, Wolves in the next 4, Bournemouth, and then Southampton, right? So he is highly owned right now. The next one is Wood, like we mentioned in the top transfer traffic just now. He is now already gathered around 30% ownership. It's quite high right now. I think before that is maybe 20% odds only, but now he already reaching that 30% percentage. Other than that, I'm not sure whether Jackson could be one of your option to transfer in. Jackson has not been performing well. Chelsea also form in the downwards right now, but Jimenez could be someone that you are looking at, despite his minutes are at risk sharing with Muniz. But the next 3, Ipswich, West Ham and Leicester are really enticing to me. So what do you think, mate, in terms of best replacement for Cunha? Maybe you have other.
Well, my daughter has joined the stream and she's pointing to Isaac, saying, "If you don't have Isaac, why have you not gotten Isaac in?" So yeah,
Okay.
definitely. If you don't have Isaac, then Cunha is definitely the option. Isaac. If you don't have Isaac, then I definitely say replace Cunha to Isaac. So after this is a case of Jackson. So I told you I'm not so bullish on Jackson, but I think it looks like Raul is still the better option. It also frees up a bit of funds. I think the most popular option that we've seen this week is, of course, Wood. So which is the popular option for me. I think Raul, who seems to, we were a bit worried about him and Muniz competing, and I think I was pretty sure that Muniz would be a big threat, but doesn't look like it based on what's happened in December. It looks like Raul is still the first choice striker up front and will remain as first choice. So my recommendation would be for, if you don't already have Isaac, then Raul is your next best option.
All right, interesting. So I think on paper, definitely in terms of feature Raul, but I think people worry about his minutes, but there's potential there in the next 3. But Wood is the bandwagon that people are looking at right now. And you point out about Isaac, he could be the one that you should have first before other striker. All right, man. Before we jump to our team selection, just quick in terms of projection from Rob T FPL and Data Spreader, kita projected goals and clean sheet odd for this week, man. In terms of goals, top team is City and Liverpool at 2.75 goals are predicted for both teams, despite both are playing at home, really. So 2.75. Then after that, 2.5 is Aston Villa playing Leicester. So if you have Watkins, you definitely bought well in terms of this prediction. It could go big this game. In terms of clean sheet, Villa and Liverpool are predicted to keep clean sheet at 42%, quite high for this week. They are the top club for in terms of clean sheet this week. And then Fulham at 38%. But not further away is City and Watford playing at home against Everton and West Ham, 36% mean. So all shows that Salah is the best captaincy in terms of it, but I'm not sure whether Haaland can match up in terms of Haaland. Haaland can match up in terms of Salah potential points in terms of captaincy mean.
Yeah, so you can see where the goals are flying. You got Villa, Fulham, Newcastle, City, and Liverpool. And the biggest mention is City, whose rating for goal scoring is the same as Liverpool's. So and when you look at it, the West Ham CS and the Manchester United chances for CS is the same at 6%. So it just shows that it's gonna look really bad for both West Ham and Manchester United, sadly. So yeah, I guess the big thing for me to look at is City really back? Yeah, and it's definitely something. And I think there are some who don't like your teams, or that Gameweek 20, you'll have a new wild card ready for you, a fresh second half season. And if you really think that City are on that upward trend, then you might want to look at bringing in Haaland now, and hoping to get that correct in terms of City doing well. But if you're not, then of course the other usual suspect, you got Villa, Newcastle, and to a lesser extent Fulham, but also Chelsea as well, who still have a decent projection to score over Crystal Palace. So which is which? Yeah. So you have to decide where you want to go. Just a quick mention on Brighton, who have quite so in terms of goal scoring popular assets, for example, Spurs quite low at 13. Only 1.8 is still okay, but for those of you who have Pedro, 1.13 is not a great rating in terms of looking to score against Arsenal, so that is a problem there. I like how when I look at Wolves and Forest, you'd expect Forest to have be overwhelming favorites there, but it's not. It's still not too far off. They're almost equal in that sense. So it tells you a bit about what the bookies or whoever think about how strong Wolves are now compared to previously.
Yeah. Okay. That's the position. Let's go to our team. My team first. I have 0.4 million in the bank, one free transfer, and my captain will be Salah this week. I just talked to my team. Sales in goal, TAA, Gabriel, and Robinson. They all fine. I think most of us will have Gabriel or maybe any Arsenal defense, and then TAA, and then one of other asset. It could be Colby, Robinson, Hall, another asset that people looking at, and Aina. So potentially Forest against Wolves. So I think you can have those decent team this week. Even Guardiola, if you have him this week, like Azmin, I think we will touch his team. I think it's excellent pick for this week against West Ham. So in midfield, Salah, Palmer, Martinelli survive again for this week, and I think I'm going to play Enzo because Rodgers is suspended. And then Isaac and Jackson, I already made my movement. I have Cunha before this, so I have two people who are not going to play this week, and I'm not going to play Michaelenko or Griffiths from my bench. I already made my move and follow the bandwagon going for Wood. I've been contemplating about Raul Jimenez, but I'm somehow rather my season is not well because I'm making so many moves, and then I've got frustrated and I've got Rahul before this, and he has been frustrating in my team. I know the feeling. I have not had Wood yet this season. So I just want to punt on him moving forward. Let's see how it goes. Wood has destroyed my season also for definitely the part of the season where Wood has been excellent asset, especially at 6.0. Now he's at 6.8 million. So I already made my move Wood and hopefully I will stick him. He is like 80, 90 minutes man on penalty. Forest excellent form. And whenever Forest scored, most likely will be in the mix. So that's my team, man. What do you think?
Yeah. I think it's all right. I just want to point out that in terms of the weather issues, you may have Alexander TAA and Salah as a potential, and even Wood as potential, but I think you do have the bench enough to make up for it. And we'll and the point is, of course, to always have the right vice captain. I want to push you to say whether you want to consider Isaac for the vice captaincy instead of Palmer. Just because Newcastle is looking really stronger at the moment against a Spurs that are totally destroyed by injuries and a possible illness as well. And Chelsea haven't looked great at the moment. So, and they are playing away at London Derby to Crystal Palace. So I don't know if that's something you want to consider. I'll leave you to it.
I think I agree with your point. It has been playing in my mind, and I think he's one of the option as vice captain, and I think I could do that definitely before the deadline.
Yeah.
All right, mate.
We get if we get early team news, that will help, of course. So we never know. So wait for that.
All right. Let's go to your team, man. You're high flying right now at 55k. I believe you have 1 million in the bank and 1 free transfer.
Yeah. So I'm looking at saving my transfer. So okay, I've got Sales, Gabriel, Radial at TAA, Robinson, Diaz, Salah, Palmer, Rogers, and Isaac Acuna. And on the bench, I got Sa, who could play, who I could still considering whether to have Sa Sales.
They play each other, right, man?
They play each other, so I have to go for the higher ranked player team at the moment. So Ahmad, who could come in if there's any issue, but Aitnuri and Pedro. So Cunha we know is suspended as well as Rogers. So Aitnuri and Pedro will come into my starting 11, and Ahmad will be the one on the bench. So when you look at it, I have 4 players at risk at Liverpool, Manchester United, which is TAA, Diaz, Salah, and Ahmad. So I'm going to look for injury news and see what happens. Weather news, I should say, and see what happens. Because also for the Wolves match, I have Sels, Sa, and Agnuri as well. So I'm potentially have a big exposure to this weather thing. Hopefully it's nothing. Hopefully it's it's just a it will die off. It's not as bad as it's thought, and they could use a little snow, but I'm sure it's nothing serious. Hopefully, inshallah. So let's see how we go. But otherwise, I'm actually quite happy with my team in terms of transfers. Assuming this weather doesn't cause any problems, I think I can. I'm okay. I'm not expecting a green arrow for this week simply because of some shortages to my squad. Everyone probably has Salah and Palmer. So Aitnuri and Pedro not the popular options at the moment. I mean, there's a lot of conjecture about can Pedro score against Arsenal. I think Brighton will score, but maybe not Pedro. So I'm not very confident of that. So I'd be happy if I escape from this week with a small red arrow. So I'm not too confident, to be honest.
I will be more optimistic than Azmin, because I think this will be your first time playing 5 in defense, right? It will be interesting one.
Yes, it'll be a 5-3-2 formation for me. Using all, but the good thing is that because I have 5 defenders to play with, they all starters and they're all quite decent. FPL scorers as well. So that's
So if I may mention, TA and Gabriel, most likely people already have. Guardiola could cap a clean sheet and a goal against West Ham. So I will not rule that out. So that could be another big potential point for you. Nouri playing at Forest, who knows? If let's say Wolves score, it definitely from Nouri potential assist. And if they keep a clean sheet, we just never know about Nouri. You know what Nouri is capable of, and Robinson playing at home against Ipswich, he has been producing the most assists, like you mentioned, so far this season. And then you're playing João Pedro. João Pedro is definitely an asset when you least expected, right, mate? He will produce. So that's why I will not rule those players out. I already moved João Pedro. Then suddenly he produced that 2 assists. So I am really annoyed with João Pedro, but it is what it is. You still have him. Hold to him. He also the penalty taker for Brighton. If Brighton got the penalty, who will take? It's definitely him.
Yeah. I think that the thing with Pedro is that, despite I think almost every week I've talking shit about Pedro. But at the end of the day, probably the main reason that he's still there in my team is because he's cheap. He's one of the most cheapest strikers, assured of starting and constant, and possibly on penalties as well. So as a result, he just continues to stay in my lineup, and I don't see myself removing him anytime soon. I think he will stay there for quite a while.
Yeah. So I think I like your thinking about rolling a transfer, mate, because your team is decent enough to support you this week.
Yeah. Weather permitting.
Okay. All right, mate. Before we go off, just take a quick look in terms of FPL Jedi League, mate. If everyone interested to join our community, you can type PHMKJ3 League code. And at number 1, mate, still maintain suka hati by one Kyrie, the Man City fan. 85 points scored last week. He is at the top right now with, as you can see, almost identical to our team. Seals in goal. He has Aina, TA and Gabriel. Looks like everyone has them. Salah and Palmer. He has Ahmad, surprisingly, maybe because of that somewhere a few weeks back where Man United asset at hot. Luis Diaz, he has also same player like Q. Cunha, Jackson, and Isaac. And I can see maybe he will move Cunha out for someone like Wood. I will not be surprised that move me.
Yeah, I mean, Ahmad is one of the quality players in Manchester United and available at cheaper price. So I'm not too surprised that I have him just to talk my own thing. But I can see one thing he doesn't have is Rodgers. So he's not going to have any issues
but
this week.
We are not taking any opportunity, because Rodgers is suspended this week, right?
Yeah. So he does have to deal with Cunha. But he does have Dibling there, and Michaelenko and probably Fair is there as well. But he looks set up for nicely, and like me, he has the triple up of Liverpool, exact same players as well. So it'd be good luck to Sukati. Let's see if you can remain. Of course, that the distance is like 13 points from Abeng FC. So it'll be the fight is on, I should say. To see
the season is still another half of the season. Just a quick shout out at second place. You mentioned about Abang F, 1261 total points. Afosz slightly dropped to third, but he's still excellent, because he is now tied the same point as you at 41258 points. So really good competition between both of you. And then Afa United at 5th, Sipampulai 6th, Abuloy at 7, All Reds Well at 8, 9th, Meldan King, and then Zion United, Zuyong, our magic counter player from last time. He's at top 10 right now, mate. So, mate, your competition with Afosz is getting tighter.
Yeah, I'm just surprised. I'm now in competition with Afosz. It's kind of a dream thing to be here. Yeah. So hopefully, we both come off over this week before the longer break, not due to internationals, but due to midweek competitions, FA Cup especially, mainly, and the EFL Cup. So let's see how we end up. I'm happy to have ended up finish the New Year same points as Afosz. So let's see who goes above the other after this week.
All right. Thank you all for joining the deadline stream for Gameweek 20. A quick turn. If you are here, do hit the like button and subscribe to our FPL Jedi YouTube channel and do support us. So your last word, man.
If you're in a position to save your transfers, I mean, you may want to, if you're quite comfortable, that you might want to look at saving the transfers, because it is the transfer window, and team dynamics will change. At the same time, we also want to plan ahead for those chips, especially the assistant manager chip, but even other chips, the free hit, the bench boost, because we're starting to organize, if you haven't used them already, and even the triple captaincy. Yeah, so you need to do some more planning. After this week, you'll have a bit more time to look at your squad, look at the fixtures coming up, and deciding. So take some time with that. So if you can save your transfers, I think it'll be good. It'll be a good move.
All right. Thank you guys for joining. Hopefully to see you again in our next stream. Thank you again and hope to see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you on the other side.